you've conquered another game. A long day.
A job well done. And the final work call. Where your place. Come as you are. And fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
Stood at the pinnacle of curling.
Shadow of Edmonton. 16 top men's and women's teams in the world vying for the right to add a Grand Slam to their resume. Our feature matchup tonight, we have Team Tirinzoni taking on Team Ha. The final round-robin game for the women. The winner of this game will advance to the quarterfinals. Loser will be in a tiebreaker scenario. We'll see how that plays out. Take a look at the lineups for tonight's matchup here. We'll go to them whenever they pop up. For Team Tirinzoni, they are number 2 ranked in the world as of right now. Number 5 year to date for Team Ha. 13th ranked in the world, 8th year to date. Joining me in the booth, I've got 6 Scotties titles and 8 Grand Slam titles to my left. Val Sweeting and Chelsea Carey joining us tonight. Val, thanks for coming in. You guys are kind of in a waiting game now for the rest of the tournament for you, with the tiebreaker scenario at 2-2, but thrilled to have you up here for this big matchup tonight.
Hi, thank you. Excited to be here tonight. And yes, we are crossing our fingers, but if there's still a chance, we'll take it.
Chelsea, not new to the booth. We've done a few together as well, but heard nothing but good things about the arena, the venue, the ice from the players this week. So few complaints, and I think we might be seeing some curling events coming back here in the future as well.
Yeah, I heard that rumor too. It really is it's one of the nicest arenas I've ever been into, and it's been really impressive. The ice conditions have been fantastic, so we're all happy campers. That's all the players are looking for, so it's been great.
We will go through the team lineups here for Team Tirinzoni. Throwing last stones will be Alina Pats. Throwing third and skipping, Silvana Tirinzoni. At second, Carol Howell. And at lead, Selena Wichkowski. And for Team Ha, skip, Ha Sung-yeon. Third, Kim Hyerin. Second, Yang Tae. And lead, Kim Soo-jin. Now, Val, we're looking at the schedule that these teams have played so far this season. A little more conventional for Team Tirinzoni with 5 events played. For Team Ha, 9 tournaments so far this season. We're in the first week of November here. I think your guys' schedule and talking with Carey is a little more conventional as well, but do you worry a little bit with that much wear and tear playing 9 events by this point that there might be some burnout?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, they've done really well, especially lately. We even played them in the final last weekend, so they're going deep in these events too, which is, you know, a lot of extra games. But so they're not showing it so far. But personally, yeah, that's a lot of games.
Chelsea, I don't know that we ever played more than 4 or 5 events by this point in the season. That's where Tirinzoni's at as well. But you're trying to peak at the right time. But for some of these teams, especially the Asian teams, you see more. Team Gim also had played 8 events. They're getting a lot of points early in the season, so there's benefit to both sides. But which would you prefer if you're skipping that squad?
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, you are in a points position where you don't need a million of them, so you don't have to play a crazy schedule early. Because to your point, that can make it hard to peak at the right time. But a lot of these teams, it's just what they've always done, so it seems to be okay for them. But yeah, it would be a lot. Like 9 is a lot for a whole season, really, if you take out like Canadian championships and stuff. So yeah, it's a little bit inconceivable to me to play 9 by now. We've never, and I've always been on teams that played a lot, but not that much. That's crazy, but it's working for them, obviously, so we can't argue with that.
And looking at that schedule so far with the 9 events played, Sable Grand Prix, runner-up, and also runner-up at the Korean Nationals. First in the Elite 8. Semi-final finishes at the Tour Challenge, the last slam, and the Argo Graphics Cup. Hack the House Alberta Hurling Series Event 1 with semi-finalists. Qualified at the KW Fall Classic in 3 non-qualifiers, the Stu Sells Toronto Tankard, the Curler's Corner, Autumn Gold, Curling Classic. It's hard to even go through that without getting tired. I can't imagine playing that. It's staggering. And then 4-team Tirinzoni, again, much more conventional, won the Basel Masters, runner-up at the Shorty Jenkins and the Stu Sells Toronto Tankard. Winners at the Swiss Euro qualifier and also were in the Tour Challenge but did not qualify. So Team Tirinzoni, with the pedigree they have and their resume, obviously, you don't see them as underdogs too many times in games. For Team Ha, with all the games played already this season and all these great results too, I mean, we're at a slam. We're going to have competitive games every single time we go out on the ice. But Val, who you see as the favorite for tonight's game?
Really good question. I think both teams are playing really well. I think it'll be whoever catches on to the speed first. We saw Team Ha really good weight control, especially with their draws going to the middle. So we'll see what Tirinzoni's game plan is. They can kind of get played to the wings or get that little half shot at the right time. I think that they'll be looking pretty good too.
Chelsea, you've played against Team Tirinzoni plenty of times as well. What do we expect from them for the first few ends of this game, how they start things out?
Yeah, I think you'll see some rocks in play. They're not afraid to mix it up, and they've got a great last rock thrower in Alina Petz, but we have seen a little bit of struggles on and off this week with draw weight for Alina, so they might start out a little bit slower just to make sure she has that confidence, but they're usually not afraid to put a bunch of rocks in play, so this should be an exciting game.
Trying to go to a center guard start, but posting a little bit, and this will go all the way to top 4. It being played to start things off for Team Tirinzoni. Shanti with the outturn. Maybe playing for a delayed corner here, Val?
Yeah, I would guess so. If they can get this over to the wing and hang on to the edge.
Just
good shot.
We've heard from many players already too from this week that the houses aren't quite as fast as what you might expect normally at a slam. Chelsea, I think we heard you say that actually on the broadcast when you were playing, that you were expecting for a hack weight shot you have to hit a little more than you expect.
Yeah, they're hitting a little bit dead if you're throwing a tap that normally, you know, what you think of curling with as being perfect weight transfer. Normally you'd throw maybe back 8. We're finding we've got to throw more like back 12, back line to get that rock to move that far. It's not a big issue, and doubles and things seem to fly just fine. The striking bands are still plenty lively, but those softer weight little tap backs and stuff, it is maybe a tiny bit dead the way the rocks come off each other.
A bit surprising that Team Tirinzoni is electing to trade hits here in this first end, hitting that rock in the back of the 12-foot.
I would have guessed they might have went for the delayed corner too, but
yeah, I was on board with that too. I'm a little surprised as well, but like we say, with if you're not feeling the draw weight, great about the draw weight, especially for that last rock thrower, and hopefully she's got her confidence back and it's not an issue, but it might be smart to ease yourself in a little bit.
yeah.
Really soft weight hit here from Yang Tai. will be right on the beak. Team Ha, you look back at their resume as a squad, took silver at the 2022 Pan Continentals, silver at the 20 World Junior Championships, Korean champions in 22, and for the skipper, World University Games, silver medalist as well in 23. Hit by second Carol Hovald, rolls off the paint. Carol been a lead for this team for many years, has moved down to second. Val, do you see anything different on the end sheets throughout the course of this week than you see in the middle?
We found that this sheet in particular yesterday had a couple tricky spots. You know, sometimes there's a specific sheet shape where it goes one way or the other. We found that this sheet had the odds. It wasn't a true slant, so to speak. There's a couple spots where it would curl one way, curl the other way. So whoever figures that out first, I think will get the early edge here.
Team Tirinzoni content to just hit this end out. Take hammer to the second end if they're able to execute the blank. Hovald has no trouble with the peel there. See how long Team Ha wants to continue throwing guards up. For Chelsea, we expect this to be just a nice open end, so we get to fill some time up here too.
Advantage to Ha here, getting to throw these guards. They're going to get a good feel for the weight, and Team Tirinzoni is just peeling. So really smart to throw a guard versus coming in when you know that the other team's just going to peel.
I agree with that. That's always good. Draw weight early, especially when your opponent isn't getting the same opportunity.
Yeah, and that's if you went in, then you'd see the hits being traded back and forth. But by throwing the guard, you guarantee they're not going to throw a draw because they're always going to peel it. So it's, yeah, very smart. Like it seems like you're just throwing the guard because you're throwing a guard, but there's another factor to it, which is that you get to throw draws and the other team's not going to get to do that. So smart play when the end is open to try to give yourself that little advantage.
Problem being now, when you leave it a little short and off the center line, your opponent elects to draw. So Tirinzoni will play the in-turn come around. And that definitely has every bit as much to do with where that guard ended up as who's throwing the shot.
I'm still a little surprised at the change of gears, but yeah, if that rock was on the center line, I don't think you'd see her doing this.
Silvana Tirinzoni playing the in-turn come around draw. Four-time world champion, one European title to her name, and the 1999 World Junior Champion. We're going way back with this stuff. Yeah. We cover a lot of bases. It's interesting with some of the, especially the veteran teams too, looking back and seeing what other titles they have to their name. Bruce Mowat has covered pretty much every title there is to win in every discipline.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
Yeah, if I remember right from the last game, he had WUGS, the University Games, the World Juniors, World Mixed Doubles, World Men's, and maybe that's it. But that's plenty on its own. Yeah, you don't really have to go any farther than that. Skates just behind the tee line.
Big opportunity here for Team Ha, but it looks like this one might be a little bit heavy as well. And it's trying to curl and die in there.
And Harry right to the button. That freeze, well done. Get a little more interesting end than we were expecting to. Well, we expect them to try to unlock this too, not just to play the freeze. What kind of weight do you like for this shot?
Yeah, if you could just throw maybe back 4, you don't have to throw it very hard. Just kind of nudge that yellow on the nose and kick the red over would be a really good result.
Yeah, getting the nose very key here too, so it's not lined up to your own stone. Like to keep the red in the house. get to at least the nose. Like minimum weight as of right now for Tirinzoni. This really needs to go, and it's turning over.
These inside tracks are sometimes a guess in the first end. It's catching the curl here.
Yeah, we've sounded like a broken record up here in the booth too with, as you said, Val, those in-between tracks when you get anywhere from middle 8 foot to middle 4. They turn over and die, especially early in the game, and I would say 90% of the misses, and this is nothing new for slams or any tournament, 90% of the misses on those tracks are light when they're, you saw that once again as it crosses all the way over. Chell, so important on those shots, especially in the first, second ends, to really get it out of your hand, and if anything, make sure you're there on these types of shots, just because you're so aware of that being the case.
Yeah, it does tend to get that little bit slower because everybody's throwing the draw to the button in practice so that those tracks don't get broken in at all. And so then you're going to get that little bit of fresh pebble, going to be a little bit slower and a little bit more curl. The ice in general is also quite release sensitive. So if you don't get it running, if you don't have that nice positive release and it curls early, there's no saving it. So for many reasons, important, like you said, to make sure your release there is really positive and that maybe you're a pound, what feels like a pound heavy on the weight, just because of that bit of slowness through that middle section.
So the opposite now true for Team Ha. They really don't want to move these stones at all, but a freeze would be a very good result. First stone of the game for Skip Ha Seung-yeon. Sweeper's hovering, just waiting. Nothing as of yet. Don't want to move this if they don't have to. It's not too bad. He's directly into that red stone, still in the back of the forefoot.
Yeah, got away with it a bit, staying that extra bit high to be a little bit on either side of it.
And that's, we just talked about that track being slow, but now that's the second rock down the path. So again, that's where you really have to be. There's a lot of communication that needs to go into that. Okay, so they just threw this, so now is it going to be full speed? Is it going to be closer to full speed? What are we looking for here? And I think just a tiny bit heavy on that one, but the way, like you say, staying a little bit higher actually lined that up better. So I think kind of got away with it, but you can kill the top one here, I think, for Alina. Stay right on the nose.
With this broom, looks as though Alina Pats is going to try to completely unlock this, play the hit, and get these rocks moving a little bit. As much as you don't want to remove your own, you don't really have much choice right now if you're going to try to get either of those yellows going.
Yeah, your own's not helping you back there, so.
Here is Alina Pats, 6-time world champion. Played in 7 worlds, won 6. 1 silver. I don't know what happened there. Quite the resume for Alina.
It's very impressive.
Does get both moving. Sits 2. Very good position. I think they were hoping that the second yellow would spill a little deeper. So that if they do play the double, it plays into a jam, but it does appear that the double is there. The whole rock is open. Val, is this one you want to fire and try to get rid of both, or do you want to control it a little bit?
I think you just go hard at the double here. Take the guesswork out of it. You need a thin piece of that, so I think it's easy. Just throw peel. Hit. Third. Pretty close.
Yeah, you want to be a little thin on the back when there is a chance if you catch it thick that it will play into the jam. have to hit it pretty thick to do that, but throwing it a little harder gives you a little more margin for error there. Guard should not be an issue on this shot. Haas last stone, trying to remove both Tirinzoni counters, avoid a multiple point end. Perfectly done, great shot. Chelsea really didn't fire that one either. Just wanted to make sure that could control it a little bit more. It catches exactly how they want it to.
Yeah, you don't need to throw it any harder than that. Sometimes it makes it easier for the line call, but well called and well thrown with this probably more like just a firm, solid normal kind of weight rather than peel.
And she sure made that look easy.
She really did.
Yeah, very nonchalant. Yeah, we're good, fine. The final stone first end. Alina Pats playing hit the stick on the #1 counter. Starting out on the center line and turning to it. Trying to hold the line, not over curl. Well swept, uses the stopper. It will be a single for Team Tirinzoni in the first. They lead 1-0 after one. So a nice double on the last stone for Ha-Seung-yeon. Forced Tirinzoni to a single in the first. 1-0 they lead. Tyler George here with Val Sweeting and Chelsea Carey. Val, we were talking during the break a little bit about surprise change in tactics with the way they played the first half of that end. Hitting 2 stones in the house, especially one on lead, stones in the back of the 8-foot and peeling, and then electing to go underneath.
Yeah, a little bit surprised there. They could have threw the delayed corner and went after their 2 earlier in the end, opting to when the guard was not on center, but it was relatively tight and in run-back territory. So a little bit surprised, but that just must be part of their game plan, that they have a point in the end where they might change it around, and they went for it, got forced, but you know, both teams had to make some pretty good shots.
Guards to start the end off here in the second. Tirinzoni going to the center, Team Ha going to a corner guard. So I think we're going to see the action pick up a little bit now. Selena with Chonky. Playing the intern come around draw. The room to start out with, trying to get it to turn over. Pat's really carving, trying to finish, and gets pretty much buried. Chelsea, they were turning that over to try to bury, but ideally, obviously, if that stops maybe 2 feet higher, even in the 8-foot, takes the freeze out of play, gives you a lot more scoring space.
Yeah, definitely a little deeper than they were looking for there, but I think that's I mean, you're trying to carve it to get it buried, but I think you're also probably trying to carve it to bring some weight off if it curls a little bit more. So just a little heavy out of the hand there, I think. So they were doing the best they could to well manage given what they were working with. But yeah, definitely a little deeper than they would like. So Team Ha trying to take advantage of that with a good freeze here.
Stop just a hair short of it, but good position as well. Same question for both of you now, too. We've asked everybody that's been in the booth and gotten a lot of different answers on this. With when you're going to corner guards in an end where you're throwing two of them, does your team value first to prefer to throw opposite side corners? I won't tell you what Carrie said.
It's a test.
or stacking on one side with two corners.
I think generally going to opposite sides work well. So, but a situation presented itself today where the opposite team went deep in the house and high in the house. So in that scenario, that's where you could throw them on the same side. So then you leave your draw path to the middle to work with whatever's going on in the house. So just generally, if you throw them both stacked, sometimes you don't end up getting to use them. You know, one's a little bit too tight or one's a little bit too long, and they're just not ideal.
Chelsea, anything different for you, for your team?
Yeah, I think we stack them fairly often, mostly depending on how much the ice curls to leave yourself a draw path. But there's, but it also is a little bit, can be a little bit to do with execution. So if we're trying to stack them and the first one is kind of in the middle, then we would go to the opposite side. So that factors in too. But I do think that there's benefits to both in the sense that I agree that often having one on either side gives you a better chance of being able to use a corner guard rather than having them both on the same side. But then you just have to make sure you're not blocking your draw path is the biggest thing with going to opposite sides.
Still stacking up here in the center of the sheet. Team Ha trying to maybe hit and lose that back stone, and they do leave that center yellow in a good position. It's nice to have this game closer to us with Team Ha on the sheet. When we had them earlier, they were playing a couple sheets away. Could not tell what that logo was on the back of their jacket. It looked like the Ghostbusters logo from where they're at. But it's a heart, apparently, with red background. But if you see it from a ways away, yeah, it looks like that ghost with the red background.
I can see that.
Thank you. I feel better now. It's not just
I'm here to make you feel better, Ty.
Tirinzoni playing the intern draw. Well, definitely an aggressive call here. With how these rocks are lined up.
Yeah, definitely. I think you could sneak through there with the right weight.
This one is still coasting. Needs to hit the brakes. They go all the way to the back of the 12-foot. Team Ha sitting first and fourth right now. It's like we have a fighter jet going over the arena or something right now. All three of us looked up at the same time.
I heard it last night too, and we never figured out what it was. I don't know if it's a train or.
I mean, that would be a very short train.
We're not far from the airport, but I don't know if we're in the flight path at all.
It'll remain a mystery for now. We're all still here. Nothing exploded. That's the big thing.
Do you think they're just trying to split this one out of the way?
That was the thought, yeah, with where that broom is. And I kind of like that call, actually. You're playing for the indirect big end and just getting as much of your own shrapnel in the house as you can. It does open up the red stone for Team Tirinzoni. But I doubt they'll play to that. They want that rock staying there, and they'll probably hit one of these yellow stones if they're still open. This doesn't look like a lot of weight for a split. Just ends up tapping I don't think that that's what they were playing for.
Der geht immer auf den,
No, I think they were trying. I'm with you. I think they were trying to split it. She was just a little bit light. The line probably would have been good if she had another 3 or 4 feet of weight.
Das wäre mein erster Gedanke gewesen. Ja, sogar da wäre... Ja, sogar schon.
And Chelsea, for us, when we threw those shots in the past, I think this is pretty consistent for most teams. Always tried to make sure we're there on that one. Your tolerance, if there is any, is bumping it a little harder. Because especially with the way these rocks line up here, short, light, puts you in a worse position. And that red rock is really in jail right now.
Yeah, I think that the concept I was on board with is that like they're a little bit closed down the scoring area right now. It's there's not a lot of ways in there with all the guards, and so trying to just open it up that little bit. So if that's your primary goal is to kind of get that a bit opened up, then heavy is your miss rather than light.
Aber wir sind vorne dran und da, oder? Und der ist noch nicht besser wie der vielleicht. Ja. Ein 8. Ja.
Val for Team Tirinzoni here. They're looking at playing this run in maybe a little bit early to move those with that red rock being locked into where it is. I mean, they're unlocking it playing this shot if it moves those.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that they would take another crack at that come around and play this later because that red is in such a good position, like you said.
Yeah, I agree. I think surprising that they want to move the stone now. That come around plays well because how these are lined up, it's kind of tough to get to the draw that you throw in there too. They probably have to follow.
Absolutely.
So they do make that run, but as you see, the 2 yellows are still second and fourth, I believe. Well, it's close with the back one. But yeah, I think Team Pa is very happy with that choice.
Yeah, opportunity here.
We talk so much, Chelsea, but when we see angles like that you always want your opponent to be the one that moves it first, and then you get to react.
Absolutely.
So especially at this point in the end now, with hammer, they've spread everything out. The middle's not bunched up anymore. You still have 2 rocks in the house, and that really couldn't have turned out much better for Ha.
Yeah, it worked in favor of Team Ha. They wanted it to curl a little bit more, and if it did that, they would have lost that top yellow. But still, the red doesn't stay buried behind the guard, and it's just it felt early in the end to do that to me. Like that's a shot I would look at with at least Alina's rocks,
Yeah.
maybe even her last draw, to try to make that move if Team Ha hadn't moved it before then.
It rolls underneath the corner. Won't be shot, but in a very protected position. So getting a little dangerous now for Team Tirinzoni.
Ich denke es fast, ja. Hit and roll bringt ja nicht viel.
The only rock that's open to hit is
Schien nicht
4th
blöd, aber
count.
einfach, dass wir mal angeschaut haben.
Val, you
Wäre
thinking
noch
hit or
Option,
draw
oder?
here?
Really good question. I think the hit and roll, at least eliminate one of them. You could roll to the spot that you want to draw to. If you could walk it down, probably do that.
Looks like they agree. She's going to try the hit and roll. It's just the draw is the easier way to get there, but it's so scary when there's all those yellows in the house and they have hammers. So I think this is what I would be doing. It's the safer of the 2 options. Potentially gives you the same result. It's just a hit and roll is harder than a draw to place perfectly behind a guard. But I think given all those yellows, I would be hitting this one.
Tirinzoni trying to at least roll in here. Rolls all the way across, now trying to bury it underneath the corner. We'll have to see from the long view how much of that stone they have. They're putting the broom down for the freeze right away.
Yeah, we're at a bit of a more favorable angle here. It looks like you could, oh, there. No, that's buried.
You could probably make the chase with a quiet weight, but it
I was gonna
is
say,
fully buried.
Val could probably do it from her side.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Val's
I
got
could
the
nose
advantage.
that.
Step in there. That's
Yeah.
wide open for Val.
That's one of my favorite things when Carrie asks how much I can see. Like, I got air.
More than you.
It's buried for you, but I got air.
Val, obviously a southpaw, a lefty here in the booth. One of those heathens that can get to lines that the rest of us can't.
이 겹쳐 있어 지금 빨간 거랑. 타임아웃.
Early timeout here from Team
Amateur
Ha.
bonus timeout.
I suppose they're thinking that this is already a key spot in this game because they could put up a possible 3 or 4 if they play this right. So they're going to take some time to discuss this one.
Dann ist er schon gut, aber so scary. Ja.
Chelsea, you think it's worth taking a go at digging it out if you feel like it's going to curl enough just because of risk reward and what you could set up, or do you more favor playing the freeze and trying to score with your last 3 stones and hope and maybe getting lucky enough to play something into it later on?
Yeah, I think I don't mind the dig. If you chisel that guard, you might roll in for a second or third shot too, at the top guard, with the kind of weight that you'd be throwing. So I don't mind trying it, but it's definitely a hard shot. It's very buried. So if you make the freeze, you're in a good spot, but you're eventually going to have to make some kind of run to make it count. If you make the dig right now, you're in a really good spot to score multiple points.
And you do have the plan B option if you play it tight and you wreck, that you can roll the shooter in.
Exactly,
that
yeah.
makes
Like
a
if
big difference.
you could play that with kind of backline hack weight, and if you chisel that guard and you roll in maybe behind this other guard, and you might be second or third shot, and then your big end is still, and now you've opened up the red at the back too, and your big end is still in play.
Broom looks like a freeze broom from here, maybe with a little tap. It could be one of those that you're throwing freeze weight and then playing to sweep for a tap.
I think if you're not going to tap it several feet, you don't really want to move it. You want to just be frozen to the corner of it. So I think they're probably just playing a straight freeze, is my guess.
The weight looks like they're trying to get this moving now.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's really good.
Great shot.
Rolls right in front of the other red.
That's a nice bonus.
Fantastic shot.
I guess righties can make that too.
Turns out it's easy.
I guess so,
Kim
yeah.
Hae-rin with a beautiful tap to the back of the 12-foot. I'm going to say that it looks like 2 for Ha right now. See both sweepers switching to that side, and the game we had for them earlier in the week, we saw them both switching to carve on one side as well. So sweepers doing a little line dancing, going from side to side on the stones. So now Team Tirinzoni looking to play the draw. Val, it's tight enough that if you bury underneath it in the 4-foot, that you probably can't dig it out. But I think that's maybe this is just being swept all the way back to try to play safe against the multiple point end.
Yeah, definitely. I think ideally you want it back to that one. As you said, it'll be safe. Then you're not crossing your fingers that they get it out of there somehow.
Alina Pats, in turn, come around draw. Based on Silvana's positioning, I think they are trying to bring it all the way back. Looks like it has to go a little bit to get to the back house, though. Schonke and Bovald carrying all the way back, and that's perfect. Great shot by the 6-time world champion. All of a sudden looking like it's back into a situation where if you're going to score 2, it's going to be with your last 2 stones.
Yeah, an end saver there by Alina Pats. That's really well made in a really high pressure situation. So she'll feel good about that one. And yeah, going to have to turn this into a skip stews here for Team Ha if they want to score their 2 points.
Ha Sung-yeon, a beautiful double in the first end. Get her team out of a little bit of trouble. Let's see if she's got the draw game going too. Sweepers not touching it right now. Freezes right up to it. Still room to refreeze again for Lena Pats.
Genau, nasse Freeze. Lass ich nicht noch raus.
No question here, Val. They're looking to go all the way back to this stone again without hammer. Make sure there's no space. Chip this stone out anywhere.
Yes, exactly.
Same path for Pats. This is the third consecutive shot down this path. Sweepers will be conscious of that. This has got a ways to curl, and with Schonke really trying to turn this over. Now Hovald stepping in. Plenty of weight right now. Ends up going right by, so Chelsea maybe just picking up a little more speed with 3 consecutive shots down that path. The Sweepers immediately thought that they needed to get it to turn over.
Yeah, so she might have just thrown it heavy, but we did find that we hadn't really found that the first couple days, but this morning we were on this sheet and we really did notice a rock or two down was getting significantly faster with every one. So definitely looks like they maybe got a little bit fooled by that.
The Sweepers definitely were not fooled. They read that rock deep right out of hand. So the skips deuce that we mentioned now back in play. Ah Sung-yeon to draw the 4-foot for their second point. Final rock of the second end.
You don't always get opportunities like this against Tirinzoni, so definitely want to take advantage of this.
This one's still cruising too. Looks like a little less than the previous shot though. That'll be just fine, and is a 2, skips deuce. Ah Sung-yeon. Team Ha leads Team Tirinzoni 2-1 after 2 ends.
Gestern bin ich teilweise auch schon mit 4-0, 4-1 auf die Lang gezogen. Aber sicher auf diesen Spuren, die 2-3 Mal durchspielen.
Ah Sung-yeon, 2 draws, 2 points on her final 2 shots. Secures the deuce for her squad, 2-1. They lead Silvana Tirinzoni. Right back up to center guard to start off this third end in our feature matchup. Again, the winner of this game will go to 3-1 and qualify for the playoffs. The loser will drop to 2-2 and have their fate tiebreaker hands. Val, very strange tiebreaker scenarios we have at the Slam. You were explaining before the game that all depends on how many teams are up for how many spots on both sides of this tournament, the men and the women, as there's only one tiebreaker round and only 4 sheets. So if there's enough teams to necessitate multiple games, then it has to be 2 for each side of the tournament.
That's right, Jeff. Lots could happen still with this draw and the men's draw tonight. Chelsea, I believe you have a much better draw than us, so we're crossing everything here to still have a chance, but we're not going home till they say there's no chance, so we will see. But yeah, both of these teams, I think, will still be in the mix.
Yeah, I usually just wait for the stats people, whoever they are, to tell me what's going on. These, but
Yeah, some of the men in the previous draw could have done us some more favors. It was looking, it was weird, you know?
so like them.
Yeah,
Jeez.
they just blew it for us in the end, but that's fine.
Do you want to call anybody out on the air? You have the mic. Toss anybody under
No,
the
I
bus.
don't want to dig it in anymore for them. That's okay. You know, we
Just
had
wanted to
our
give you the
chances
chance.
too. It's on us too.
Chelsea, your draw shot is pretty good, Val was saying, so
We are, yeah. We're second of the 2-2 teams right now, but Isabella Grano has just passed us by a couple centimeters with her. They covered the pin in this game against Holland, so if she wins, then she'll be second and we'll be third in the draw to the button of the 2-2 teams.
so you're telling us who you're subconsciously giving the daggers to during this
Well,
round
I don't
already?
think it really changes much for us other than who we play.
Okay.
I don't think we can be eliminated from tiebreakers, but I shouldn't say that out loud because I
You did
don't
it
know
right.
that for sure.
You did it right. That's
Yeah.
what we do in the booth here. We never say anything for certain when it comes to advancing or tiebreakers. We just say what we believe to be the case.
Well, the thing about tiebreakers with round robins is it always goes the opposite way that you think. When you think there's not going to be any, there's a million. When you think there's going to be a million, there's none. So I've learned not to expect anything when it comes to that.
Both leads with a perfect start to this end. Center guard in top four and a corner guard and buried. Second center being thrown up but staggered, so looks like Harold Hovald will be asked to take on the double peel. Just skirts by the second guard. Team Ha, they're going to go right to the corner and try to make the soft peel and roll. This is a shot, Val, we've seen a lot more, obviously, with 5 Rock than we did with 4 because of the way these ends play out. But I think really, even the start of this season, we've seen it a lot of times at the slams where this shot is played with a little less weight and try to roll to center to get another guard on it, too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can keep your shooter around, make noise on the back, great. Roll your shooter to a good spot. Oh, really nice shot.
Pretty good there. Makes the run and let's keep the guard in play. Chelsea, at this level, and these are the kind of things that you have to do too. Get the extra little edge, making 2 shots with 1, with the high caliber of play that we're going to see from these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no easy game at a slam, and that's just has been the case since the inception of the slams, and that's the idea. It's stressful for us as players to look at the draw and go, holy smokes, but it's what we want as fans, and it's awesome. But yeah, you better be on your game. There's not going to be a lot of missed shots. So yeah, when you have an opportunity like that with that kind of run, she made it look really easy, but it's not an easy shot, but really well executed there.
And making it early in the end too on that first try is so big. A lot of times you see teams have to take 2-3 cracks at it, and by then it's harder to attack or defend whichever side you're on. But making that run on the corner guards immediately now, there's not a lot of danger for Team Tirinzoni or for Team Ha with how these rocks are set up. So for Ha, that run and roll over gives them control of this end now.
And it could pretty easily swing if you don't get the back one, and they can make some kind of chase. All of a sudden they're sitting 2. So really big kind of end-changing shot when you can make that run and roll to center.
Guard under curls a little bit, so Stone is open to dig out, but guarded the correct side, so there's no hit and roll under cover. Will be Silvana Tirinzoni on the in-turn. Soft weight hit. One of these in-between tracks again. See if this one over curls as well. Hovald really going to try to hold it. A great sweep there. Holding it the entire way. And Val, I think a little more weight than what you would see normally for a shot like that to try to stick around for that exact reason, making sure on the in-between track that you get it out of your hand, it's not soft and over curls.
Yeah, that was really well thrown and really well managed. So it's key to stick around. You don't want to give a free draw around those guards.
Trying to roll underneath that center guard. Now this is really curly. Doesn't make the hit, but that's going to roll all the way out. Tirinzoni will go on the attack now, drawing under the tight center guard. Now Chelsea kind of have to make the decision with how tight that guard is. If you'd rather throw it above the tee but leave them a short run, or throw it deeper and dare them to try to draw to it.
Yeah, I think probably in a perfect world you're looking for this just above the tee line, as deep as you can without leaving them the freeze opportunity.
Yeah, even if you teased them with leaving it a piece open, it'd be harder to stick that run back.
Yeah, that's true. If you're not fully buried, that's probably better.
It is just above the tee line. Completely buried. Immediately going to take on the run. If that rock is probably 6 inches deeper, then you may have seen the freeze, but very comfortable with this shot is the immediate call. Carol Hovald doing some stretching beside the sheet there. Maybe a little bit of discomfort somewhere. And I have to do that just living, so I'm always surprised you guys don't do more of that out there.
Pretty easy for the hips to get tight in this game.
Run back attempt, Ha Seung-yeon. Sweeper's trying to hold it to make contact. And over curls. So now Val, it's all rock placement. Where do you think is the best spot to try to secure your two?
I think right where their broom is. You hang on to the full 8 here with no double. And if the hit and roll is made off of shot rock, it would be first shot. That would be ideal.
That's a veteran broadcast move there too. Right where they're saying,
Yeah.
they don't have to choose anything. Yeah, I agree. Just anything even up to the open side of the house.
Yeah, they were pointing out into the 12-foot. As I mentioned, that would allow the hit and roll buried, and they would be shot rock. So, I mean, it allows more separation. But I think if you're full 8 here even, there's no double.
Yeah, the depth is the key. And of the two stones, if one of them ends up being a little higher than the other, you want it to be the shooter. Because if they are able to play the double, that one has a shorter distance to go than the other one. But if they can get this to even up, maybe half in the 8-foot. Sweeper's really going hard to get it to there. It looks pretty close. It's just about perfect. Really well done there. Those are the ones Chelsea says the skip, you let it go and you've done what you can do. It's going to such a precise spot now. All right, I did my job. Don't mess it up, please.
Yeah, the pressure's on the sweepers for those for sure, and really well managed. But to Val's point, it did curl enough that if you make this hit and roll, you will be shot and buried. So opportunity here for Team Ha to potentially still turn this into a force.
About the only spot you could throw it that would be full 8 and not so close to your stone that it makes it extremely precise to not leave a double would have been back 8s. So that'd be like a quarter rock double to make it, but That's every bit as precise anyways, to not leave them a double back or the same hit and roll to go into the cover or the corner and get shot. Intern hit and roll attempt. Need to hold the line. I think this may overcurl. Does roll to the open. To still be shot rock, so they'll have to hit it, but be an open hit for Alina Pats to secure their 2.
Gut, das ist so vom Eis, glaube ich.
Just on the broom, looks like they're probably playing a little bit of finesse weight here. See if it catches any kind of fresh path.
Yeah, there hasn't been a ton of traffic down this side.
Still floating a little bit. All trying to get it to turn over to stick around. Looks like it should be just fine. That will be 2 for Pats and Team Tirinzoni. They take the lead back after 3 ends of play, 3-2.
What they could do, and it was very impressive.
Moves the yellow. See the world's best at the Co-op Canadian Open, November 7th.
I don't know that that was necessary to do, really, because you're accomplishing the same result and you're not afraid of that stone. It's not a great steal setup because of that rock, so I'm not sure I agree with the decision, but it is a great result.
I guess thinking that maybe Silvana could have used it to come off and get shot rock.
Yeah, I guess I'm fine with that. If
Yeah.
they're playing that shot, then I'm in pretty good shape. So Silvana playing the run now. See if they can make contact with both yellows in the house. Does get them both going. Great shot from the veteran. Both rocks go. Good thing for Team Ha, they have 2 corners to go around after that run. Still an opportunity to set up a 2. Like to play the in-turn. Third, Kim Hye-rin's second stone. Apparently we were muted for a second there, according to the audience, but we are back now. Boy, did you guys miss some great commentary. Some of the stuff we said about some of the players out there. Val, I've never heard language like that on a sailor. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's too bad they missed it.
May never happen again. Well, your team may say different, I don't know. Wraps around right to top of the 8-foot, perfectly buried. Really good depth on that one too, Val, with still staying above the tee line, but makes it a little bit longer run as well.
Yeah, really good placement there.
So straight run being played here by last rock thrower, Elena Pats. Dead on the nose would be perfect. Boy, Nick, you guys could stand anywhere and you choose in front of the commentators too. Who am I to say where you should be standing? That run was apparently made. We do have our screens here as well. Good shot there. Rolls the half buried under the other corner guard. Now the one we'd like to have Val throwing here.
My cred went out the window when they made it when it was dead buried. Do you think that they'll try and get to the inside underneath the corner guard here? Or just go into the open and try and take the blank?
The broom could be for either, because it all depends on what weight they're throwing with that broom. I apologize that our Korean is a little dicey.
I don't mind trying to get under. It's late enough in the end that I don't mind it, and I think you'll be just above the tee line if you were to make it, put a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, it's a little different track too. And I think Team Ha has played this, but I don't think Tirinzoni has really played the draw around the wing going this way. So, yeah, I don't mind making them have to draw down to a stone under the corner. Looks like they're trying to get underneath. Oh, they're trying to get under the other one.
Not quite far enough.
We'll stay open. So now for Tirinzoni, Chelsea, you're going hard at trying to get underneath the guard here and get the force.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no risk now. If this was earlier in the end, they probably wouldn't be trying to get under because you'd be back tee and leaving a freeze opportunity. But if you can roll this buried, you, at a minimum, make the blank really difficult, if not take it away altogether. So you can be pretty aggressive with this one. If you roll too far, it still doesn't hurt you. It's a blank either way. So really nice sometimes when you can just really go for the shot and there's no downside, no tolerance. You just really try to make this roll.
Yeah, at this level of curling, you're expecting the wide open blank to be almost as likely as if they just had a throw through if you roll out.
Tirinzoni might not be too upset allowing them to blank too.
Yeah, that's true. An even end, not the worst thing in the world.
Trying to get it to turn to get underneath. It would be open, but force Ha to throw inside out. Pretty much throwing it almost right down the center line with this, using it as a guide. And always nice for the sweepers as well. For the three of us, we haven't done a lot of that in our lives, but what we've been told, and Val's done more than the rest of us here, that they like when they have the center line as a guide for sweeping purposes, so they don't have to listen to the stupid ones in the house that don't know what they're doing. They can sweep it themselves. Final stone of the first half of the game. Ha Seung-yeon looking for the blank. Heel weight. Makes no mistake there. Well done. He will carry the hammer to the fifth end. So at the break, Team Tirinzoni leads Team Ha 3-2.
7th to 10th on Sportsnet.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable. And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms? Light as a feather.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And is the choice of champions.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise. And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance, pushing limits,
seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a Gold Line. It's a Gold Line. It's a Gold Line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably.
Back for the second half of action here in our feature matchup. Final women's round-robin draw at the Co-op Canadian Open here from the Silent Ice Arena in Nisku, Alberta. Team Tirinzoni with a 3-2 lead over Team Ha. Tyler George joined by temporarily only four-time Scotties champion Val Sweeting. Val, it's been back and forth. It seems like Team Ha has had the better of the action here, at least over the last end, and Tirinzoni does make a few to get the blank back in play for Ha, but I kind of like the way that Team Ha is working right now. I think they're playing a little more on the aggressive side, and here in the fifth, sometimes we see teams play wide open. They're going right to corner.
Yeah, they must want to jockey for that lead over the hammer in the even ends.
And this is one that we've seen go both ways throughout the week, that a lot of teams tied up or down one with hammer in the fifth elect to play it wide open, throw to the open side or top eight and then run afterwards. But Team Ha, with the 1-point deficit, have decided they don't want to try to run ends out. They're going to try to score right now.
I mean, this is my first game up here with you guys, but do you ever feel sometimes like the teams hear you and just do the opposite of what you think that they're going to do?
The only time that didn't happen was when Carrie was in here. It seemed like Dunstone did exactly what she said for them to do every time. So we thought maybe that with the Manitobans there, like the
one mind.
Well, the mic was going both ways.
Yeah.
And then you
Oh,
could
yes.
actually hear them. But for Brent and I and for John and I, we always feel like they're doing exactly what we assume they're not going to.
It's like player payback for the commentator curse, I feel.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They can make you look dumb in a hurry up there, too. They can make you look real smart. The one that's made us look the most consistently smart is the in-between tracks early in the ends, because it happens all the time.
That's a classic. You can lean on that one.
Yep.
Okay, next time I have it, I'm going to try really hard to make it.
Just fire it by on the wide side and then point up at the booth. You like
you
that one?
You said to huck it.
Just lean right into the microphone and talk about how fast and straight that spot is.
Did you like that one, Ty? It's still going, isn't it? That one made it all the way back to Calgary for you. So that draw around comes up short for Team Ha. And one of those that's almost better if you didn't throw it at all with staggering the centers, Chelsea. This gives Tirinzoni the opportunity to go around again and really take control of this end.
Yeah, it would have definitely been better if you didn't throw it, unfortunately, for Team Ha. That ended up in about as bad a place as it could have. So huge shot here for Carroll.
Our joke is that you could have thrown it the other direction. It would have been better.
Yeah.
Actually, just throwing the high guard, though. I thought with the stagger, they wouldn't waste any time going in. But I guess they want to make Ha waste a few stones first, which is not a bad play. But that shot really, Val says they're playing hard to either force or steal one, too, that they want to continue to make Team Ha peel stones until you get late in the end and make sure that red rock is still there by the time we get to skip stones.
Yeah, sometimes it's a timing thing, like you mentioned. You just want to delay that play, try and keep rocks away from that double peel as long as you can.
Gets a few of them moving now. All center guards, at least off the center line.
Or you just make the triple peel, no
Yeah,
problem.
that works. And that's part of the reason, too, why I kind of like going around as opposed to throwing that dreaded third guard where no matter where you place it, I mean, even if it's perfect, they probably have a chance to get all of them moving. If it's staggered off the center line at all, they have that chance. Coming around into the house, you know they're playing the double peel on those two stones, but now there's two in the house, and you're guarding two the entire end. They never got that opportunity to do that because that triple was made.
Yeah, getting a little extra curl on this one, too. You just haven't figured out that side yet.
And this end is turned on its head in a hurry. And it does go back to what we talked about earlier, Chelsea making that first try at a run. And now you have the whole rest of the end to go on the offensive.
Yeah, it gets pretty scary pretty quick when you're Team Tirinzoni and you're throwing guards on this lone rock and there's this wall of corner guards over on the side that they're just waiting to hit and roll behind. And unfortunately, just the overcurl there allowing this chance for Team Ha for a roll behind all the guards here.
Just chips the guard, though, trying to make that soft weight hit.
Seems like that might be one of those tricky spots, Val, that you were talking about. I know we found the same thing on this sheet. There was just a few that surprised. All of a sudden, it would just really curl, and it wasn't a sheet shape thing. It just was a bit tricky, but that's two in a row overcurled by quite a bit. And teams at this level, you just wouldn't expect to see that.
So this will allow Tirinzoni to go back to guarding again. Whole bunch of corners to use if you're Team Ha, if they can ever get to that stone. Important guard here from Silvana. Just trying to get this to at least touching the center line and not leave a port. Still a port there now. Staggered the wrong way. So difficult to navigate. Maybe can get through there and make that hit. They're going to take on the port. Val, expect this to be probably at least board, because you have to control the line to get through the staggered port.
Yeah, I think that would be a good weight selection. Make it through there, you should have a really good chance at rolling buried.
This is one that you're sweeping once it gets off the high yellow one. I'd love to roll this if you can. It does make the hit. It's dead in that port still.
A little quieter than I was expecting. I thought they'd play closer to board, like you mentioned.
Yeah, so tough to get the roll playing that weight, because it looked like it was really close to both guards.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the house being a little bit dead. You're not seeing that spring off quite the way we do sometimes on arena ice, so needing to throw a little bit more weight to get that action off the shooter.
You'll definitely see more weight on this one now with where that rock ended up. You need to throw this harder to hold the line. Big 4 over on sheet C from Team Kitazawa, now leading 6-3 on Team Gim, playing the fifth end. And that groan is for the old silent hit on sheet B. Team Rana, Isabella with the flash against Team Homan. Audience will tell you. Hit made straight through, dead on the nose. Now for Team Ha, same thing. This rock being pretty much dead in the middle of that port. Really hard to get this to roll somewhere, Val.
Yeah, I agree. It does look a little bit tricky to go either way.
Playing Peel this time. Just trying to get a flat roll and get close to that high guard. This one over curls and wrecks. Let's roll into the rings. That makes this next decision interesting too. Chelsea, what do you like here?
I think, as tempting as it is to draw around everything, I think I'm probably hitting that top one and taking my, spreading out the force. I just would worry about leaving a combination, and we've seen lots of runbacks made, and it's not terribly long. But this is for sure the more offensive call of the two. It looks like that's what she's doing, trying to loop around everything here. Would you hit that, Val, or would you?
I would be tempted to hit, yes. But again, they seem to do the opposite of what we're saying. So maybe we'll just try calling the opposite.
Yeah, it's the perfect example of that, yeah.
Another factor that I kind of thought of on the draw too was that, I mean, they made that last guard perfect, but it seems like the side of the sheet's been a little bit of a guess.
Right. Yeah.
So, but they seem to be going after it no problem.
And playing the hit, if you do elect to hit the top one, you can, if you roll, you probably still have a decent chance of forcing anyways or getting a soft steal.
Yeah, I think it's probably a force play, but it's the safer of the two calls. This is definitely the more offensive, which could pay off, but it's a risk-reward situation right now.
And this one really finishing hard on this line too, and that's perfectly judged by the sweepers. Great shot by Alina. I always tell when she's feeling good by her body language, too. Goes for anybody, but for her in particular, she's walking tall right now and feeling good. Look at the finish at the end of this stone, too. But again, to both of your points, the Rocks just aren't really carrying at the end. I don't think that's going to get any better as the rest of this game goes. Fourth game of the day. They're really, especially getting into that slide path at the end, kind of fudging.
Yeah, we saw in some of our games it started to come down a little bit in 6. It was still a good speed, but you just had to be a little bit more diligent on the brushing.
Yeah, that's what we're finding as well, where it's not that I have to throw it any different. I don't have to kick any different or anything. We just sweep it more aggressively. You can't drag it at the end the same way at the end of the game that you can early, so you need to be on it a bit earlier to get that late drag, and that's pretty common on arena ice, and again, third and fourth draw of the day, but definitely we're seeing that as well.
Run back double attempt here. Ah Sung-yeon just touches the second one, but does not remove it. Rolls under the corner. See how much they can see of that from the long view here. It's maybe half on the non-Val side, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, finally one that favors the right-handed
thrower. All right, Chelsea, you're in. So not near enough to play the hit there, no reason to. This is the smart play, playing the draw. Where's your ideal depth here, Val?
You can tuck it buried probably full 8, heading for somewhere where you don't leave the double. I don't have a good look at the angles,
with that room, it doesn't look like they're playing to bury. They're just looking maybe to play to the draw path a little more. Alina playing maybe half buried. Top 4. Plenty of room right now.
Don't want this deep to leave the in-off double.
Now this is really coasting.
Or through.
This gets to back 12. This is an open hit for 2 all of a sudden.
Wow.
Not expect that.
It's the second time that we saw that rock run quicker for her. I know it was a different path than she threw on her first. It was a little bit out in the weeds on her first one and maybe died, and that was maybe better, but sometimes we see the rocks don't run the same also.
Yeah, that is the rock. She was heavy on the freeze after she just made it on her first one too. So you're right. It's you have to kind of wonder. Again, somebody as good as Alina Petz, you just don't expect her to make that mistake. So you wonder if the rocks maybe aren't perfectly matched. But it's hard when, like you say, the paths are a little bit different, so you don't know for sure.
Keeping an eye on that stone now the rest of the game. All of a sudden, open hit for 2. Ah Sung-yeon playing only their 10th event of the season so far.
Light schedule.
Yep. Sweepers just valeting this one to the stone, no problem at all. And a surprise deuce for Team Ha. They take the lead back 4-3 going to the 6th end.
Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
You've seen what they could do.
See, and I got a little excited when Kitazawa got 4 because Gim is one of those 2 lost teams that could help us, but 3 right back.
Not fun having no control over things off the ice in these tournaments, if I remember correctly.
It's definitely better when it's in your own hands.
Nice come around draw by Selena Wichonki.
Mega schön. Ja. Sie hat vorhin schon mega knapp weit da versteckt.
And Chelsea, easy call to make there to go under the corner, as they're not really afraid of that setup in the middle. The guard kind of staggered and tight enough you can run it in if you need to, and the come around draw just stopping top 12, top 8, so they could go under the corner and get shot rock.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is I think they would have probably played it anyway, but being able to do it and get shot rock is a really big bonus. And then now this guard coming in a lot tighter than they were hoping. For Team Haas, so opportunity here for Tirinzoni.
I wouldn't mind if they're trying to do the 2 shots with one thing, playing that easy peel and roll to corner, clear the 2 off the front, and then you have 2 corners, 1 underneath.
Does it ever jam on your one behind the corner guard, though?
I don't think so. I think
it goes across the top.
I think the second one goes over the top pretty easily.
Looks like it from here, but it's a bit hard to tell.
Also ich finde nicht, dass wir ihn unbedingt mitnehmen. Wir sind ja wie noch gesagt noch Schott. Ich finde es fast wichtiger, dass wir da
Elena seems to like it. That's what they've been pointing to.
You don't have to play a lot of weight either. You could jiggle those all around and leave a bunch of corners.
Yeah, they're looking also at playing the 2 or the second guard into the counter house, but you can't really leave your shooter in a great spot, and they still have 2 centers up to go around. I think I like that double peel and roll. Obviously, you really want to keep your shooter no matter what, because if it rolls out, then they're peeling and running.
That's what I was just going to say. I think the biggest thing, it's making the double is obviously what you want to do, but the more important part is sticking your shooter somewhere. So
100%.
You don't go crazy aggressive for the double so that you lose your shooter. And then again, to Val's point, you don't have to throw it that hard because you want to make sure you stick your shooter. It's a lot easier to do that with, say, a normal or control than it is with peel.
That is the call. Just trying to double and roll the corner. Over curls. Here's the rock out of the center. The staggered centers now. I thought they might go with the come around draw and keep Team Tirinzoni chasing here, but electing to play the run. Second Yang Tai. See if she can get both of these moving. And does make the run, rolls towards the center. There's still a Yellowstone biting in the outside 12-foot. But Tirinzoni needs pay no attention to that. They'll be coming right around the center with Errol Hovald's second stone. He's not touching this one yet either.
Kommt runter, aber wir können nicht. Ja, wir können gleich nicht.
Hoping it gets into the slide path and turns over. This looks like it's virtually dead.
Yeah, and for Team Tirinzoni here, the one thing you don't want to do, and it sounds silly because you never want to give up a steal, but in sixes, it's huge to give up a steal here. So really, like, you want to go aggressive for your 2, but not so hard that you don't have a shot for 1. And if this is made really well, your shot for 1's looking awfully tough.
So they will play the freeze. And taking a lot of room here for this shot. Over halfway out into the 12-foot. Now trying to turn it over as they took that wide path. Needs to finish and needs to go. Stops top 4, so now again the advantage flips over Team Tirinzoni if they can make this bump roll in, but I'm looking at the guards too. You can't see as much of that as we thought from that angle. That's more buried than we thought.
Yeah, I don't think they can get to the nose and make any kind of play on it. So while not
bad angle,
well, not the perfect result for Team Hot's pretty good because it cuts down that scoring area in a pretty big way and it's hard to move it. So Tirinzoni switching to the bail here.
Trying to open up the front. And we're looking to see if maybe there's a spot that can hit it and spill it onto the rings too. Val, that would probably be 3/4, maybe a little more than that.
Yeah, it'd be really good if you could roll them both. Roll it under your shooter. Oh, count that side yellow.
Yep. Just normal weight here, somewhere in there from Tirinzoni. See if she can open this up and spill the red onto the rings. Can they sweep it to Barry underneath too? Not quite, but very good shot there.
Yeah, still really good.
Needed to curl maybe another ½ inch, and that rock is buried underneath the shooter as well. You'd have to think with the scoreboard that that's forcing a hit.
Yeah, I think they're debating where to roll to.
I don't think there's anything else. I don't see anything else anyways that makes more sense than hitting. But where do you want your shooter to end up is the question, I believe.
It'd be good if they could over-roll it to where they're going so that any double opportunity leaves the two Tirinzoni rocks in the open. You'd hate for Tirinzoni to be able to get under that yellow guard in 6 seconds.
Yeah, the only other spot you'd consider is right where she had the broom a second ago, to rolling it to half covering your own on the wide side.
Set up
So
the jam.
any hit plays into the jam. And they're going to call timeout and discuss this one. I don't think it's right or wrong. Either one is a good result here. The only thing with the rolling it in front of your own staggered is it's a shorter roll. So it's a little less precise call. But problem is, if you roll it even just a little too far, it's a nose double.
Well, I was going to say the only thing you can't do is be in between, like, because they're both good calls. But if you're right in the middle, that's the problem spot. So you gotta, I think, really commit to one or the other.
And you're playing scoreboard as well. The number one thing is, how do we keep our opponent from scoring 2? Where's the best spot to roll to so that if we play the rest of this end out, it's going to be difficult to score 2.
엄청 얇아야 되는데? 완전 얇아야 돼요. 나도 안전하거든. 얘 안 나가면? 얘 안 나가면 최악인데? 어때요? 인파.
Quick spin around the other sheets once again. Rana and Holman tied 2-2 in the 6th. That just coming down to the last 2 stones of the 6th end.
근데 그렇게 맞아야 되는 거 아니야?
Over on sheet C. And skip stones as well. Still 6-6 with Kitazawa and Gim.
이거 내가 잘못된 게 아니라
On sheet D, Fujisawa and Laws after a blank in the 5th are 4-4 in the 6th. All 3 of those games on skip stones in the 6th end. All these games very close to ending at the same time if there's no extra ends or anything. A little unusual. So we do know they're playing the hit. We do not know where they're rolling to or attempting to. Kim Hye-rin looking to roll somewhere after this hit. Really curling hard early. Cooper's trying to hold it. Looks like they're going for a long roll based on this sweep. Straight to the side of the forefoot, even up with the other red. Pretty good result. Val, we were talking earlier in the week about, I don't even remember what the situation was, but coming out of timeouts, we think the percentage of made shots is, because it always seems like after that long break, shooting percentages go down considerably. I think that was a make there, but it just seems like
And battles in the
teams
most.
struggle to make the shots after taking a long time to talk about them.
Oh yeah, anytime we use a timeout on my shots, I feel a lot of pressure to make it because we just spent a lot of time talking about it. Definitely try and nail it.
So we don't really need to analyze it any more than that. You just gave us the answer then too. It's just, yeah, there's a lot of pressure to make it after the break too.
Yeah, I don't know the number for sure on made versus missed, but I know personally, skip rocks is different. You use the timeout, you're talking about it, but on anyone else's rocks, I feel like you really got to make it when you use that time. Especially here, we're fortunate we have 2 timeouts.
Right.
At some other events, we only have 1 timeout, and then that's extra pressure.
Silvana playing the outturn hit. I'd really like to roll in front of the yellow here if they can. So trying to turn it over to roll. Now need to hold. Just to sit. Oh, a little fortunate spin maybe right there at the end too.
Did spin back a little bit.
Out on
Now
the
to
ice.
skip stones
There's
now.
no room.
A couple different options on this shot too. Able to lob a freeze down in there. There really isn't much space to go anywhere. But also thin the 2 reds. Have them both go. What's the preference here?
Do we know who's second shot?
We'll take a look at the overhead. See which we think is second. Or we could guess from this view too. That's fine.
Freeze is probably the best result, but it's a little bit scary to throw, especially if they're sitting 2.
Yeah, I'm thinking the draw is part of the, even if you made the thin to win that you talked about, they draw a freeze down there, you're making the freeze on your next one anyway. So a little bit more to play with here. You could tap the red a bit if you had to.
Even if it overcurled a little bit and you chiseled off the other red, it's probably not bad. You have some options.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
some
that's the
margin
red
for
I
error.
meant.
Sorry,
when
yeah.
Tap.
Yeah, so it's a little bit scary, but because there's kind of like a lot of good places it could go, it's not, at least that takes away a little bit of the risk. I don't really know, like, those are kind of the only 2 options, and the real thin double looks hard. I think that red is pretty buried, so it's just a tough one, because if you ever do it wrong, you might leave 2 reds in there and no yellows.
Just want to get a little across the face, and that's almost dead nose. Pretty good. And throwing 2 options out doesn't always mean they're equal. I definitely agree with what you both said.
I would guess red from the overhead as, well, now a third shot, I guess, but
And they are on the pin, so Rock will need to move in order for Tirinzoni to score. That's your really in-depth curling analysis there.
do you think they would like that to curl a little bit more?
Yeah.
So that then the yellow would always sort of jam into the pocket and kill it. Like if you nose this, for Savannah, you won't be shot, but it's still a pretty good result.
Yeah, if that crosses over even a quarter rock,
yeah, at all,
it's
like
really good.
another inch probably would be enough even, but just didn't quite get that finish. It's not a bad result, but I think a tiny bit more curl would have made it even better.
Wollen wir das Timeout
Ja, ich
nehmen?
glaube, es ist einfach nur Geschwindigkeit, kommt nicht drauf an, oder?
Ja, aber eben, weißt du, wenn wir ein 9 spielen, dann können wir den ganz gut safen, wenn du das Gefühl hast, der geht nie nachher.
Also weißt du, dann können wir auch wirklich da machen, dann haben wir nach der Raum weg für 2.
Okay, aber dann machen wir so, oder? Das ist das Ziel.
Ja.
Nase eigentlich
Genau,
fast.
Nase, ja.
Okay.
Nase oder Licht so, sicher nicht so, dass sie nicht den haben.
Objective 1 on this shot is unlocking that stone, regardless of how you do it. I think they are playing nose-nose. Tolerance on this one would be crossing it as well.
Yeah, a little low doesn't hurt you. A little high would be pretty bad.
Licht bei der Selina an, wäre perfekt.
Alina Pats, 6-time world champ, trying to stack this right on top of that yellow stone. Just throwing control weight. Just barely crosses. That's a good spot. Really good position for that stone.
Gut so.
See that crossover just a little bit too. Exactly where they were planning to hit it.
Ich weiß nicht, welcher das Beste ist für den zwei.
And the problem with the guard, and this is what crossing it did for them, is that yellow guard you can run in without really any fear because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no risk at all. So you could throw that run without worrying about it. The only good news is that at least it's the yellow rock you're running in. If you're Team Ha, that's the good news. But
it's still there for 2 if that red rock is second count.
Yeah.
So that's the key in crossing that stone, creating that angle.
They don't know what else you do besides guard.
I don't think coming in really gets you much. They might just be able to blast it for their 2 anyways.
Yeah, I think it might. You could almost make it easier depending where you put it. So I think you kind of got to guard and pray.
Yeah, the only spot you could throw it in the house that would be any good is like top 8 or fighting top 8. So they'd have to run it in and could end up moving the other red out. But I don't think going in helps at all. Freezing to it would be really bad.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Trying to carry this now. Get the guard tighter. Don't want to over curl though. And I think that did, so there's a tap there if they want to take it on, even though it's around a tight guard, possibly for 2. They think that they're third, I think, with that tap on that stone.
Gut, der kommt ja von da. Ich glaube gar nicht, dass der Vierer kommt.
Also einfach den sicher treffen.
Ja, leicht
Wenn so
aussen.
rein
You got 3 different shots you can play. Trying to get your 2 here. Like just running the one straight back. Val, I think if this is nose that the yellow one doesn't sit second, I think maybe that's why they were looking at that side one too. Can we just hit this on the nose, or do we need to have it spill off?
Yeah, if they catch it on, I can't just grab what side of shoot that is on right here. If you catch it on Carol's side,
points. They don't have to see
it might roll for second shot, but I think they'd have to be pretty unlucky.
And that's jams right over into the other one. Does get the one. But it's just a single for Team Tirinzoni. Score will be 4-4 on to the 7th end.
And it was very impressive.
Moves the yellow. See the world's best at the Co-op Canadian Open, November 7th to 10th on Sportsnet.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are. and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable. And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms? Light as a feather.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And is the choice of champions.
Center guard in play for Team Tirinzoni. Starting off the 7th end. High center there. Tied up 4-4. Ha has hammer. And right around that stone to the top of the 4-foot. Chelsea, obviously that high one thrown for a purpose, that they're planning on throwing a second one. Really need to press hard, sell the farm, try to make sure somebody scores in this end. A single for either team would be a victory for Team Tirinzoni.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't really care that much who scores the one as long as somebody scores one. So you're going to see some, yeah, you'd love to not sell the farm, but definitely got to go pretty hard early to really force the issue here, because for Team Ha would really love a blank.
Carrie's going to be really happy I keep using that term now, too. She really enjoys it. That one goes all the way into the top of the 12-foot, but pretty much completely buried. Looking at just freezing to that stone. That's interesting call. Val, would you ever think about just trying to play a chip on that thing and roll to the side of the house? I don't think you want to start staggering rocks in the center line at the top of the house.
No, they definitely don't want to stagger. If you have enough to chase it, that'd be a really good result because that guard is so high. But if you get another one in here, line them up, maybe a blank later in the end.
I think you've just seen that chase a lot before the no-tick rule.
Yeah, wrecking the guard is a disaster.
Exactly,
on that shot.
if you could afford to wreck the guard, but I'd be a little reticent to call that because you can't afford to touch the guard at all.
I think if I'm electing to play the draw, I'm going right around that stone, not right up to it. So I think Team Tirinzoni would be very happy to have these rocks bunching up in the center. Anything in that area, even top 12s, is serving as something that they can use to go around too.
I agree. I think in a perfect world, you want to, I don't mind leaving it higher, but you want to get it behind that red and kind of hook it so that they can't tap that red up. And this is leaving that opportunity for Carol.
Yes, hook them the other way.
Exactly, yeah. The reverse hook.
Yeah.
This one curling hard too. Going to try to tap this red one now, but it looks like it's getting really close to their guard.
Now that same spot that Carol over-curled in the other time we were going this way.
Yeah, the weight really not there for the shot they were playing either.
Yeah, this sometimes on this ice, if you get to that curl spot, if it's maybe not enough set or anything, it could be the right weight out of your hand, but because it curls so early, the weight just all gets pulled off of it. So it's hard to tell what the one, it's a chicken and the egg thing. Was it the weight that caused the issue and so then it curled, or was it the curl that pulled the weight off of it? But either way, that spot seems to be a bit tough. It's fooled them a few times.
Just peeling the center, playing it safe, keeping the middle open. That draw path is still kind of blocked off by the red guard, side of the co-op logo. All four of these games tight across the board. The term we've been using for the early finish up here to thank one of our major sponsors is it's Mr. Mike's time when you get the early handshakes. You'll find happy hour at Mr. Mike's.
Doesn't look like we're going to get any
There
of
is
that.
no Mr. Mike's time on this draw.
Unless you do that in the morning draw like we did. I don't think it might not have been open yet.
It's a long happy hour.
Us too. we could have commiserated at Mr. Mike's at 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's not the happy hour. That's the misery hour there. That time, Carroll able to make the tap. Big shot early in this end here, too. They can make this double on the two reds. 0 or 2 is a good setup for Team Ha.
Don't ever want to miss this on the thin side. Stuff both of them in there would be pretty bad, but
Yeah, if you cross it and leave them cornered, it's really bad, too. So
true.
This is one you just got to make, one way or the other. Yang Tai playing the double. Needs to hit just off nose. That's well done. Nice spill under the corner. Ooh, big spin.
Yeah, lucky little spin on that shooter, too.
That could make a difference, that rock biting. That red rock is a lot more lonely when there's 3 yellows on the paint. Again, to both of your points, the houses just look dead on those shots. That came off really soft. It looked like it would spill to the 12-foot. It ends up full 8. So timeout has been called. Team Tirinzoni measuring their options. 7.5 minutes left for Tirinzoni, 7:25 for Team Ha, so neither team in any kind of trouble on time. The 8 p.m. draw tonight as well. If you listened in, watched coverage of our first slam, you saw something we called couch curling. Commentators and guests come in and watch the games with a more laid-back atmosphere. And we'll be starting tonight for that last men's draw, 8 o'clock. Semi-confirmed guests so far, John Morris, the mayor of the curling world, will be one of the people on that couch. John Cullen, I know, will be here as well. Ryan Fry had shown some interest, so you know those characters, you know it'll be entertaining tonight. Anybody could pop in at any time. I know the Czar invited both of you two to come in if you like as well. So now that you know who might be there, I don't know if it makes a difference or not.
The bigger issue is that we're hopefully curling at 8:30 in the morning,
Yeah,
so it's a little bit
that'd be
trickier.
great. That should be a contest that we have for the tour for this year, is a drawing for a fan to get to sit on the couch with some of these luminaries for that game. You have to sign a waiver before you come in.
Definitely some waivers, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe multiple waivers, yeah. That seems like a good idea.
Opting to come off this wide one.
Yeah, and that shows how big it was that rock spun onto the paint. They know if they try to take the double on the rocks in the center, and they know as they're not on, they're still looking at a 2 or 3. So trying to hit and roll off this biter out on the wing. Running really straight right now, and Hovald trying to get it to roll on. Rolls in for third count. Good shot there. Val, do you think you can make the double and roll all the way wide? I don't know if you want to roll under your own.
Yeah, it just kind of ended up in between there. If they stopped under the guard, it was good, or if they went right over, it was good. But I think just make the double here, see where your shooter goes, and then that's going to really put the pressure on Tirinzoni.
Good setup here for Team Ha. If they're able to make this Still only on third's first stone. Kim Hye-rin. Shooter needs to stay first and foremost. How far can they sweep it? It stays for second count in the back. That's just millimeters away on contact from sitting 3. Instead only sitting 1, and that makes this freeze for Tirinzoni now a little less pressure. So they still do have that second counter in the back. Chelsea, I don't know that you have a whole lot of options but to play this shot right now with the way the rocks are set up.
Yeah, I don't think you do. It's again, it's one of those scary ones, but you don't even have to be perfectly frozen to it. I mean, you'd love to be, but as long as you get a piece buried so they can't chase it, then it's a really hard shot for 2. But if you ever could get right to the face of it, then you shrink that scoring area. Just trying not to give up the deuce here. So big shot here for Savannah.
Not much on tolerance here either, just one you want to make.
Yeah,
lock that right on that stone. Involved with Shonky. Just guiding this one in, hoping it hits the brakes. A little bit of separation, not a bad shot. That one I can translate, because there's just this much space between the two of them. Still plenty of time to chat about this for Team Ha with 6.5 minutes remaining on the clock. Really important shot. Good time to look at the angles a little bit.
Yeah, that was really good weight by Savannah. You kind of had to be there on your own to get through that port.
Yeah, it looks like a big port, but it's not really with the way it curls in that spot. So it's hard to throw sweeping weight. To your point, it's going to take off, and you're going to, if you get by the wide guard tight, you're probably hitting that yellow. So smart throw there. Veteran move by Savannah.
So Val, maybe a back line type of weight with that broom, maybe a little less.
I was going to throw that question out there because I wasn't sure what kind of weight they were throwing.
They cut it down a little bit from where it was, now a little more again. But yeah, it's not enough broom to make the clean draw, so they must just be trying to play, I'm going to guess, back line through.
Yeah, I think that looks like backline ice to me in this spot because there is so much finish. They were taking into middle 12-foot plus for the draw, I think. So looks like kind of heavy draw sort of ice.
Yeah, this is only maybe back 8s right now. Trying to turn it over. A little more than back 8. That was probably back 9, back 12, but just chips it over out of the 4-foot sitting 2, but have to be careful now. Pocket double very likely to play into a jam on the number 4 counter. Just needed that to curl a little more. It does look as though the houses are getting even more fudgy too. That rock came to a dead stop in contact. Nice crowd in the building again tonight. Expecting full house over the weekend for the playoff rounds.
Looks like a lot of ice to be throwing the double. I'm thinking she maybe decided to just throw the hit and roll. I know they were talking about that because, to your point, pretty easy to jam that second rock on that back one, and then you got a lonely red situation going on again.
Yeah, really good result if you could hit and flop on top of that other one.
Alina Pats in turn. Very short hit and roll they're attempting. off and rolls to the side of the forefoot. Haas still sitting 1.
And another one a little bit in between. You catch that a little bit on either side. A little bit thinner, you'll catch on that second yellow one a little bit more. Your shooter won't spill as far. A little thicker, well, doesn't roll as far.
Now all rock placement again. Looking at it like if you can make the freeze or at least draw underneath that yellow, the top 4, you get second counts. It'd be awfully tough for Tirinzoni to not give you a shot for 2 or 3 unless they can make a perfect freeze on the rock on the back of the button. I think that's your spot right there, cornered on that red.
Yeah, I think so, because as we discussed earlier, it's tough to get through there, through the port on the outturn side with perfect draw weight. You kind of got to be there. It could be hard to freeze dead on that one.
So there's another one that makes us look smart, too. We called that guard choking off the draw path earlier in the end. That does come into play right now. But yeah, the draw to just go to the button, either side you can make, or sorry, to go to the side of the forefoot you can make, but the draw to the button path is difficult to try to make that freeze. So maybe just come around the wide side with the in-turn.
Yeah.
Right to top 4.
Yeah, I think that's the easier option. Even if you just sort of corner froze on that red, it's not bad as long as you're sitting 2.
And you have the red you can use, too, to chip off of if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple options coming this way.
Pasunion, in-turn draw. Right about edge of the 12-foot, trying to come around to top 4. Maybe a little bit of a guess on the speed going out wider. I expect this to turn, and it's starting to now. Got to get by the guard first. Does. There goes behind the tee line. Just barely, so now the out is there for Tirinzoni. Again, kind of a difficult path to make it on with the out turn.
Yeah, by going deep there, they could opt to take the same turn, the in turn, and get it in there.
Now
But they probably won't. But
they might have before that, but yeah. You almost have to play a little touch off of the red to get to shot rock. It's hard to get there with clean draw. It kind of crosses a little bit.
Slovenia did make a very similar one with the out turn, because now with those 2, you can afford to throw kind of that be there weight where you could tap that top one just like an inch or 2. So it's a hard shot, but Slovenia did make it, so they've got to have a pretty good idea of the speed and the ice here.
That's a tough stagger on this court for Alina Pats. As Chelsea said, definitely need to be here with this, but you bounce off at all. Be a 3, still not off the corner guard yet. Has to turn, get by the corner, and it will. Now it's going to thing that other one or hit the back straight on. Boy, it just barely got by the other yellow. If that touches that higher yellow stone, it's probably a shot for 3. But that looks to be almost wide open. Or the shot for 2. Chelsea, what weight you like here?
Thinking probably back line to Hack. Probably throw Hack just because of the staggered court. You don't need to mess around with it being too quiet, but you don't want to hit. You don't want to throw too much weight and hit it a little high. You might lose that yellow off the back of that other red. So probably Hackish.
A lot of weights you can make it with, but I think that's probably the safest one, all things being considered. That broom looks to be probably through the house to Hack. Maybe Hack at most.
I agree. I think that's a lot of ice, so she's probably throwing it a touch quieter than Hack would be my guess.
And considerably quieter. Final shot, 7th end, tap for 2. For Ha Sung-yoon and her squad. There's the double carve that we mentioned before. That looks good. Well done by the skipper, and that will be 2. Ha now takes a 6-4 lead to the 8th end of play.
시간이 없어. 그럼 마음은 좋아요. 이렇게 밀어. 시간이 너무 Zwei Gorten machen wahrscheinlich.
A 2 for Team Ha in the 7th end gives them a 6-4 lead going to the 8th. In this win and you're in matchup with Savannah Tirinzoni. Tyler George with 6 times Scotty's champions, Chelsea Carey and Val Sweeting to my left. Ladies, this is the end that's been the most interesting to analyze since 5 Rock Rule was started, with a 2-point lead without hammer. Once we get to the 5th stone of the end not being able to peel, we've gotten a lot of different opinions on where to go with that 5th stone. We won't make any assumptions as of yet. We'll wait and see where these stones end up, but we can at least start with the 3rd stone. Where do we like throwing this for Team Ha? Start, Val.
A guard.
Straight guard. Yeah. Chelsea, you like in or you like a guard?
I like a guard in theory. That first rock is a little deeper than I would like it for the guard. I would like it sort of just biting the forefoot, but yeah, I like a double guard if you can pull it off and maybe just stack that middle.
Playing this, it looks like to top ring. Tight guard, very tight. That is dead center. Looks like it may be off the paint. Don't think it matters for Team Tirinzoni's call. And they're going opposite sides of the corners. Selena with Schonke. Trying to even these up. Be just fine. So here we are, 5th stone now, and I think you both like the 2nd guard up here, correct?
Absolutely.
Yep.
We've seen a few times teams going in with the first 2 and then throwing the 5th one, choking off the draw path for one of the corners. Now, that happened in the Dunstone-Jacobs game, doing that with Nicholas Sedin, and he hated that. Does not like throwing one in that could be used to tap back and create a freeze. You know, obviously different schools of thought, but again, this is the great thing about 5 Rock Rule is there is no cookie cutter end for what we expect, where it's 2 guards, peel, and hope you can find a 2 somewhere. There's a lot of different ways this can go, not just based on execution, but on where you're mapping the end out, where you want to put that stone, how you're going to approach it.
I tend to agree. I don't love the choke. Stuff in the middle gives you more options.
Yeah, maybe if you're up a little bit more, but up 2, probably playing it similar as if you're up 1.
I think Pierre agrees with that too. Pierre Charette, say the grandmaster of the Grand Slams over the years, done so much for these events. We thank him for that. On the air and everything, Pierre. Great result there, obviously. Barrel not pleased with where that ended up, didn't move the one on the button.
Ich würde höchstens noch einmal probieren, aber kannst du den Freeze spielen von
Another
mir
guard
aus?
thrown up now. Two's getting more difficult as it goes. Val, not much choice but to go in now and either get to the freeze or move that stone.
Yeah, establish a good angle here. Then you'll have a couple options on maybe a run back later or get a little half shot, take advantage.
96. Terug goed.
Hovald with the outturn freeze attempt.
Lenny, wel maar een niet. Kijk, zie je dan, ja. Lenny scoort.
This is turning over now. Got to go for line and for weight. And they really didn't seem like they were concerned with that one until the last third. And over curls and was short.
I'm not sure if it's the same rock, but we've seen Carol overcurl a few times, and I'm wondering if maybe that rock is a little bit sharper or something, because they definitely weren't. A few of them that she overcurled earlier, they were sweeping it early, so they were worried, but this one they really weren't at all, and it just seems to be fooling them a little bit.
Fast gleich übergarden, nachher. Wahrscheinlich, wenn sie es da perfekt bringt.
Delicate hit here for Team Ha. Don't want to leave that red there, so they're trying to get to nose. Really sweeping the carve. Can't hit this high side. Oh, made it for him. That's painful. Now the end is flipped on its head.
Nein, ich würde sagen, nicht mehr ganz so viel wie am Anfang, aber mit 14,5 bist du mega gut.
Not sure that I disagree with the call necessarily, but man, if you play it, you cannot be on that side.
Yeah, tolerance. I mean, there isn't a lot of tolerance on that shot. It was sort of one of the ones you just have to make, but like probably hitting the guard on the inside would have been better than what they did. So couldn't have gone much worse than that.
Yeah, and you're not really talking risk reward at this level of play, Val. It's a nose hit. You know, it's not like it's an incredibly difficult shot. You just have to make it if you're going to play it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely looking to capitalize if they can get this in a good spot. You could be on the table.
Carve it early again. This will curl plenty on this line. Really good path here for Silvana. It's to nose, a really good shot.
Yeah, she's had really good draw weight all game.
Always a great touch player.
She did pretty well in general. She made a round double and a couple of big weight shots too, and then dials it right back in for the draws and the little taps. It's a solid game from Silvana for sure.
Looks like we have a measure for the win on sheet B. Rachel Holman just made a hit for at least one, measuring for a second count. If they win the measure, they win. If not, it'll be an extra end, and Rana will have hammer. Tense moments over on sheet B.
Up here too.
There are some interested
Still got
parties
those fingers
involved.
crossed.
That tap unlocks those stones, and timeout called by Team Pats, Team Tirinzoni.
Bis zu der Centerline, dass sie nicht freezen kann.
Nord ist wahrscheinlich keine Option.
Wir können einfach nie mehr etwas reinlegen und sie hat immer noch den.
Ja, sie wird etwas müssen aufmachen, aber nur, dass man es gesagt hat. Ich glaube einfach,
Wir dürfen nicht zu weit wickeln. Nein. Also lieber Nase am letzten
Again, looks like they're playing a circus shot of some kind to try to find
Gut,
it
aber
too.
es geht ja nichts anderes. Wir können nichts anderes machen, oder?
Das Problem ist einfach, wenn wir so kommen, hat sie den easy top.
Gut, also gell, die Gartenstelle. Wenn du an der Centerline beißt, hat sie nicht mehr schwieriger. Ja, aber an der Centerline beißen,
Playoff spots on the line in these games. Tense moments. It is yellow, which means 2 for Holman. Sigh of relief up here in the booth for my broadcast partners.
It helps. We still need help, but
So that is a final. 5-4, Rachel Holman with the win over Isabella Rana. That will give Rana their third loss. Knock them out of the competition. It's booth karma. That's what it is.
I guess so. I should have been up here for the men's draw. There's 3 of them that could have helped us, and they all went the other way in the end.
So with the way this end is turned now, Chelsea, this is turned into how do we get 3 as opposed to make sure of 2 first. I don't think you can leave that yellow rock there. I think you have to hit it. So now it's a matter of where's our best roll, and I think you could probably show half under the center would be ideal here.
Yeah, in a perfect world, you don't want to roll all the way buried and leave maybe some kind of freeze path, but you also can't hang it out enough that you leave a combo, a double, or a triple. So a little touchy in between.
Solana Tirinzoni's been so good all game. Just really curling here. Have to sweep the hold. Barely gets by both guards. Goes into their own, and now pocket on the back of the forefoot for a possible freeze. Another final over on sheet C as well. Kizama wins 9-6 over Gim, and I think that's another thumbs up in the booth here.
Yeah, I think so.
Everything's coming up Val tonight.
Can I stay here tonight for the men's draw too?
Yeah, the couch is going to be in here. If you want to sit there with those guys, you go right ahead.
That might be a whole different vibe up here.
I think that's a safe bet. So freeze attempt here for Sung-yeon. Maybe a chance to get out of this end. Really don't want to move these stones. Love to just lock in that pocket. Fujisawa had a draw of 8 foot for the win over on sheet D and goes right through the house. So that's a steal for Laws in the final end for the win as well.
Jinxed it when you said everything was coming up Val.
That one
Laws
wasn't
is
good?
the one team that we are better than.
So you're okay.
Doesn't matter. There we go.
One of the two last teams is going to win. But still lots of different scenarios. So.
And a great freeze there from the skipper, Sung-yeon. Knocks that right into the pocket. That rock is not going anywhere, so Team Tirinzoni is going to have to unlock that stone.
Oh, I was wrong. They passed us on this last LSD.
Oh, no.
So
that was not good.
Not good.
It'll be okay if the men cooperate for you.
Yes.
They never.
No.
They usually don't. But.
No. So tap here for Team Tirinzoni. Alina Pats trying to move that back stone. Really need to sweep it to unlock it. That rock won't be going anywhere. Did it move it just enough that they can wiggle that through? That had another foot of weight. Perfect. I think that still does wiggle through the hole, but what will Ha do to prevent it now?
Are they just guarding here?
Well, they were calling it right in, which I don't know if that's good or not. I mean, what do they do if you guard? The angle run in, red, yellow, and then hope it goes through the hole.
Yeah, I do think you can. It looks like you could squirt it out of there.
Yeah, then it's a matter of where do the rest go. So I think that's why they want to throw this in, is if they make that run in. The one in the top 8s actually is really important because you can afford to lose at least one of those reds.
Yeah, and you're definitely going to, but I think you still can get 3 out of it if you can find a way to squirt that out.
Well, they are playing it to a guard. It's well placed, so I
Yeah,
think it
pretty
will
good
be
spot.
this angle run for Tirinzoni.
Also treffen muss ich ihn etwa da, oder?
It's kind of key that it got a piece buried under that other one. If that guard was wide open, you could just run that one back.
For sure. That little lock, that hook again.
This is
Makes a difference.
Was that a no, not a reverse hook.
No, it was
A normal hook.
Normal hook.
Okay.
This is a fascinating shot because you need the yellow rock you're running in to spill, but you don't want to throw a ton of weight in case you're losing your own reds with the two that it's pocketed between. So what's the weight in between that you throw? Maybe firm?
I think you have to throw some weight and just hope that it doesn't kill both reds. I just don't know that you can throw any less and have it spill again with the house being a little bit dead. It's got to spill quite a ways. It's got to get all the way out of the 8-foot. So
it needs to get through.
Yeah, I think I think you have to throw peel.
Yeah, it needs to get through, but you want your own to stick around, but
Yeah.
you need the raised rock to spill too.
Yeah.
Feels like my tiebreaker scenarios. Just need all the right things to happen.
They're just going to throw some weight at it. Final stone for Lena Pats. Can they get this run and squirt that yellow through? Too thin on the second one. So that will be game. Team Hobb punches their ticket to the quarterfinals. Silvana Tirinzoni now in that tiebreaker mess at 2-2 as well. Wait to see which stone was shot there, and there's the final. 7-4, we believe, Team Hobb with the victory. Val, I wish you luck. What happens going forward? Chelsea, same for you.
Thank
I
you.
believe you're playing regardless. Val, hope to see you out there too. We're very partial to the people that join us in the booth. We're allowed to do that. Bizarre standing behind us says you're absolutely allowed to be partial.
Yes, we'll see how things go. Maybe I'll be back in here later.
Yeah, the good mojo has taken you quite a ways so far. We hope it continues. But thanks to both of you for joining, Chelsea Carey and Val Sweeting. Both of you are invited back whenever you'd like to come in. For Tyler George, Chelsea Carey, Val Sweeting, Nick Sulsky, and the Home Team Live crew from the Grand Slam of Curling Co-op Canadian Open. Tonight, Couch Curling, 8 o'clock. Tune in. See what cast of characters you get. We will see you at 8 o'clock tonight.
compromise. And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance, pushing limits,
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a gold line.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable. And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.